This is a story you may have heard of. It is exemplified in a movie that was made in 1963 with Steve McQueen. But what I was looking for was a story that was very compact, that basically described an event that we could look back in hindsight and say it was a project. And one of my objectives when I started with this was really to go at this very tightly with the PMBOK Knowledge. And the one thing that I was looking for was to see how well it scored against the 9 knowledge areas, which really are the cornerstone of the Book of Knowledge. So it was an interesting exercise for me because, you know, these areas weren't developed till 1983, and this project really happened between 1943 and 44. So they had no idea about these concepts, although the concepts of project management were around at that time, but they weren't evolved. Now, what we'll do today is we'll go through the actual event itself, the Great Escape, and I'm going to treat it as a project, which it was. And we'll talk about really how it evolved, originated, and the problems that were faced. Now, these problems were not trivial. They were monumentous at the best of time. And it was a challenge just to solve these problems as they came along one by one. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk also about how the project was managed and implemented, and then we'll take a quick look at the timeline at the end, which will give you a better sense of the events, how they panned out. Now, one of the things that was fortunate for me was when we started this, I was looking around to see if I could get some help, and we actually did partner up with this organization called Former Prisoners of Stalag Luft III. So I was in contact with a few prisoners that actually took part in this escape in terms of the project itself. So there's a level of authenticity, and there's also a level of realism that they bring to it, because when you actually look at the movie, it does tend to use a poetic license, as you may imagine, with Steve McQueen and the motorbike. That just wasn't, you know, reality. So basically, that's the table of contents we're going to cover.